Imagine being so consumed by power and paranoia that you're willing to take down a commercial airliner to kill one man. That's exactly what Pablo Escobar did in 1989. To stop a presidential candidate who supported extraditing drug lords, Escobar ordered the bombing of Avianca Flight 203, killing 107 innocent people, two of them Americans. The result? International outrage and a personal war with the United States. But here's the real question. What kind of life leads to a decision like that? Let's step into Escobar's shoes for a day to see why being the king of cocaine wasn't just ruthless. It was downright horrific. Picture this. You wake up surrounded by unimaginable wealth, the finest silk sheets, a sprawling mansion, and maybe even a few exotic animals lounging outside. But instead of enjoying the luxury, your mind is racing. Who's plotting against me today? For Pablo Escobar, this wasn't just paranoia, it was survival. Escobar's life was defined by betrayal. Allies who once helped him build his empire were just as likely to sell him out for a lighter sentence or to cut their own deals. Even family wasn't off limits. He famously told his closest associates that if he ever suspected betrayal, he wouldn't hesitate to kill them, no matter who they were. Imagine having so much power but being utterly alone, unable to trust anyone, not even the people who swore loyalty to you. His paranoia was extreme. He never stayed in one place for too long, rotating between a network of safe houses across Medellin. Each house was stocked with escape tunnels, hidden compartments, and weapons, just in case. And breakfast? It wasn't a peaceful moment to start the day. It was spent analyzing whispers of dissent, deciding who might need to be eliminated to keep his empire intact. Let's pause here. Could you live like this? Could you enjoy wealth if it came with the constant fear of betrayal? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story has you hooked, hit that like button and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes looks at the darker side of power. By midday, Escobar's life turned into something even darker. Power wasn't just about wealth, it was about control, and his infamous motto, plata o plomo, or silver or lead, summed it up perfectly. He offered people a choice: take the bribe and cooperate, or face a bullet. Let's take a closer look at one of these choices. When Escobar wanted to secure his power in Medellin, he targeted politicians, judges, and police officers. For some, the bribe was too tempting to refuse. But for those who stood their ground, the consequences were brutal. Entire families of government officials were wiped out. Neighborhoods were terrorized, and communities learned that defiance came with a heavy price. One of the most infamous examples of this was the attack on the Palace of Justice in 1985. Escobar funded the M19 guerrilla group to storm Colombia's Supreme Court, taking hundreds of hostages and burning critical evidence against him. Nearly 100 people were killed, including half of Colombia's Supreme Court justices. Imagine being in his shoes, knowing you've caused that level of destruction, all to protect yourself. Could you live with that weight on your shoulders? And yet, Escobar still tried to frame himself as a hero. He built soccer fields, gave money to the poor, and tried to present himself as a man of the people. But how do you reconcile that with the sheer number of lives he destroyed? If this story is making you rethink the cost of power, take a second to hit the like button and subscribe. And let us know in the comments. Would you make the same choices Escobar did if it meant keeping control? As night fell, Escobar's demons didn't go away. They only grew louder. Despite his efforts to control everything, cracks were beginning to show. The bombing of Avianca Flight 203 was one of the clearest examples. Escobar had one goal: to kill Cesar Gaviria Trujillo, the presidential candidate pushing for drug lords to be extradited to the US. But Gaviria wasn't even on the flight. Instead, 107 innocent people died, their lives cut short by a man so obsessed with power that collateral damage didn't matter. For Escobar, acts like this were part of a broader war he was waging, not just against his enemies, but against the entire Colombian government and, increasingly, the United States. His empire was built on violence, and every day he had to make decisions that would keep the blood flowing. By the late 1980s, Medellin had become the most dangerous city in the world, with thousands of murders each year, many ordered by Escobar himself. But even his vast fortune couldn't shield him from the consequences. At one point, while hiding in the mountains with his family, they ran out of fuel to keep warm. So, what did Escobar do? He burned $2 million in cash to keep his daughter warm for the night. For all his wealth, Escobar was constantly on the run, unable to enjoy the very empire he had built. Imagine lying in bed, haunted by the weight of every decision you've made, every life you've taken, and knowing that the world is closing in on you. Could you live with that? Escobar's life might seem like a dream to some, an empire worth billions, the ability to bend others to his will, and a level of power few could imagine. But behind the money and the myth was a man trapped by his own ambition. He couldn't trust anyone, couldn't stop making brutal decisions, and was haunted by the ghosts of his actions. So, what do you think? Was Pablo Escobar a genius strategist, or a man consumed by his own greed and paranoia? Let us know in the comments, and if this story gave you a new perspective, like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden costs of power. Because if there's one thing we can learn from Escobar's life, it's that all the wealth in the world means nothing if you're a prisoner of your own making.